Welcome back to the morning show. I'm Ruben Abati.
I am Oji Akpi. Our next guest, Olakunle Soringa, refers to himself as a futurist, disruptor, and a thought leader. Olakunle helps people, organizations, and governments move from one point of reasoning to a higher point. And today, he'll be telling us why Nigeria needs thinkers to become a first world country. Good morning, Olakunle. Welcome to the morning show.
Great to be here.
Well, thought leadership is important.
Yes.
It's critically important.
But, you know, in the context of what we're going through in Nigeria at this time with drug abuse, you were at a point a drug addict.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
I had my fair
And you
share
were
of
also a cultist.
I had my fair share
Which
of
of the
that.
cults did you belong to? Eye, Confraternity, Black Axe, Buccaneer,
Honestly, dog, I don't think it
Ahoy Sea
matters.
Dog.
I don't think it matters, but I did belong to.
No, I would like to know.
Oh,
no,
okay.
no.
Why do you
I
think
want
it
to have an
doesn't
idea.
matter?
Which of the cults? Which of the fraternities?
There is this called the Family Fraternity of Nigeria, which
Yeah.
is the mafia.
The mafia. Okay.
But I actually don't like to talk about those because I found out that somehow young people find some strange type of inspiration in those things. I just try to focus on the nuisance experience of that particular journey of my life. So that because over the years, as I shared my story, I started noticing that instead of taking young people to a point of self-recognition and honest self-evaluation, they get to a point where they find inspiration in your story. And their thinking is that you got out of it and you're cool, so they can as well get out of it as well. And enjoy all they can, indulge all they can, and somehow the future will correct itself.
Really?
No,
So
but
I've learned to edit the stories and keep away the movie-like part of it and just focus on the pain and the burden of that exercise.
no, but I asked you the question.
Yes,
because
sir.
I would like you to tell young people
Great.
and even older people who
Great.
feel like they missed out on something.
Great.
You know, why you had to leave.
Yes.
You had to abandon drugs,
Yes.
had to abandon the cults. You know, tell us what is wrong about it and why you had the illumination to have a change of life.
Yeah, as a young man, you are programmed to go left. You find a lot of excitement and inspiration on the left before you begin to go right. You know, and everywhere around you, what you see is a lot of people have gone left before they went right. The fathers you see, the uncles you see that people use their youth life to go left a lot, and on the left, that's when you have girls, boys, parties, money, and all kinds of things, drugs and all of that. People seem to have gone through that path and somehow they got away with it. But what young people don't see is how many people went through that path and got away with it, and how many people did not get away with it. So,
isn't that the part
because
that
those
you
who didn't
should
get away with it,
highlight
those who didn't get away with it are usually not seen. They are already dead and gone, nobody. So you never have the blessing of evaluating that lifestyle. It's just those who escaped, you know, that you see. So I had a lot of pressure in my life. I spent 12 years in the university studying a 4-year course, right? I had extra years, 8 years. At the end of 12 years, I should have a BSc, I should have 2 master's degree, I should have 2 PhD, but I got a BSc and a 3rd class. I just got to a point in my life where God gave me the grace. God gave me the grace to be able to pause and ask myself questions about my future. Is this how I wanted to go? And I had an epiphany of some sort. I just knew that the path I'm walking cannot take me to the destination that I prefer. And I had to make a detour. I gave my life to Christ, which was my experience. And then from there, I began to take responsibility for how I grew. 3 things became my critical asset: my hand, my brain, and both of them under God. With those kind of instruments, I've been able to chart a path for myself, build a business, build a life. And I'm very proud to say that I represent that entity that can offer that kind of direction to so many other young people coming after me. So that's where I stand.
You are a life coach, right?
Yes, sir.
We had a life coach here previously. He was talking about lifestyle and all of that and how to avoid getting sick. But you do a lot of motivational talk. Now, if you were to talk to young people, elderly people watching this program, what kind of coaching will you give them? What are the key points of your message to other people based on your experience?
There's a lot to say, but I would say that when we know better, we do better, right? So it comes down to clarity. I advise people everywhere, young or old, to attempt to drive their life by their highest education. By education, I don't mean the test of academics, because academics is what you are taught. Education is what you teach yourself. I define education as the ability of the human spirit to experience the environment, to question it deep enough to find the options that exist in it, and to know the ones to embrace as a matter of supreme importance and urgency. By that definition, a lot of people are not educated, even when they've passed the test of academics, even when they have all the degrees, because once you have the human life incapable of experiencing its environment and questioning it deep enough to identify the options that exist in it and to know the ones to embrace as a matter of supreme importance and urgency, that person is not educated. And that is what you find among so many Africans. You find a lot of people in Africa who seem to know a lot. And I can prove it to you that a lot of the crisis we have in Africa is not really economy.
What is
It's not really about our politics. It's about the mass ignorance of the people.
Okay.
Africans are critically ignorant. And when I say ignorant, I mean knowing the difference between good and better. Stay with me, better and best. Now, any fool can make the choice between good and bad. If I ask you, who would you like to marry? A chorister or an arm robber? Cheap, easy call, right? If I say, where would you like to work? Access Bank or ISIS camp? Easy call. The call between good and bad is easy. But the call between good and better, if I ask someone, who would you like to marry? A pastor or a banker? Who would you like to marry? Somebody working in, where would you like to work? Access Bank or GT Bank? It becomes a more complex decision because you are making a choice between good and bad between good and better or better and best. In America, you have two people contesting election, maybe Obama and McCain.
Okay.
Both of them are good enough to be presidents in any other country. In America, you still have to choose one, right? That tells you the character of the people making the choice, the type of thinking between those people making the choice. So here, we rarely make those kind of decisions. We make decisions either between good and bad or between bad and worse.
Right.
You know, like the last election. I mean, personal. That's my view.
So now you are talking about thought leadership.
Yes.
Yes.
Is it something critical just at the individual level, or is it collective, or is it something political?
Or how do you even raise a generation of thinkers in
Yes.
Nigeria?
Yes. So first of all, it has to be individual.
Yeah.
We have to organize to get the average Nigerian thinking at a level. When you are able to think, it means that you are able to come in contact with stimulus, with reality, and be able to map it, interpret it, right? And be able to take intelligent, informed choices that society can be grateful for. The proof of thinking is not just that you are smart. So, for example, a smart person can rob a bank. You need a lot of intelligence to be a Bin Laden. You need a lot of intelligence to be Adolf Hitler or Joseph Stalin. So intelligence can be so awesome that it can rob a bank successfully. It can plan anything. If you have the skills to do stuff, skills have their nuisance value. Nuisance value is the value of an entity's contribution to the underdevelopment, disorderliness, and irritation of society. And when you have such value sitting in your life, you can have a lot of intelligence, but what is the value of that intelligence? So, for example, you know how to plan. You can plan to rob a bank. You know how to set goals. You can have a goal to sleep with my wife. If you know how to manage
that
projects.
also requires thinking?
Yes, it does.
How?
It does.
I have to say something with what you have just said.
Yeah.
I do believe that Nigerians are active thinkers. It's just what they use their thoughts for. For example, we have these, what do we call them? The 419 scam men or the Yahoo, or how do we refer them?
Yeah, that's not thinking.
No, I think that they have mastered a way of making money from it, and they're making a lot of money, which is a huge demographic of Nigerians.
First of all,
right
the
now.
ability to make money is not a proof of your ability to think, right? That is a measure of your ability to survive, right? When you can think, you are able to solve complex problems, right? And you are able to solve it consistently at a level, particularly those kind of solutions that can lift others and unlock gratitude in society. If you are a billionaire and society is stressed because of your billions, you are not thinking, right? Even though you have a lot of money, you are past the test of technicality, not of meaning or essence. So if you go to Unilag in the evening and you go to some of the halls in Unilag, the female hostels in Unilag, and go there at a particular time, you're going to some of the best cars parked in Unilag. What kind of cars are these? These are Range Rovers, maybe Lamborghini Countach, maybe some Porsche or some cool car, right? Okay. Who are the guys driving this car? These are dads, right? These are uncles, right? Who have they come to meet? They've come to Unilag to put their hands under the blouses of young girls. These young girls are going to bow to these young people, to these old men, because they are very successful. That right there is the nuisance value of success. So I can succeed in such a way that my success becomes like a rallying point of comfort, so that the weak and those who are endangered and vulnerable can find inspiration and strength in my value. Or I can use all of that success to multiply a lot of stress and evil in the system. So a young man came to me and said to me, "Sir, this year I have to buy a car." I said, "May you not buy it. You will never have that car. I mean, I can organize to make sure you don't buy it. If I can, if I have the power to stop you." And he said, "Why? You are crossing me." I said, "I'm not crossing you." I said, "But knowing you, if you have a car, society will be stressed more. If you make it in your state and your flawed character, society will be stressed more."
Well, let's break this down a little bit more.
Yes, please.
You're talking about not just individuals
yes.
or lives. You are talking also about society.
Yes, please.
And how society projects itself.
Yes, sir.
Where does education, how does it fit into this framework? Because I have a friend who says, for example, that the curriculum in Nigerian schools does not prepare Nigerians to be thinkers. And I also have a friend who says, look, for us to have a thought-led society, the kind that you recommend, everybody should have PhD. We should produce more PhDs.
He's completely wrong.
The more educated we are, the more thoughtful we are.
The more educated we are, the more thoughtful we'll become. But he is not putting emphasis on education. He's putting emphasis on academics, right? The more academically wired we are, will not necessarily lead to a thinking nation. A thinking nation comes out of education. And note, I've defined education as the ability of the human spirit to experience its environment, to be able to question it deep enough to find the options that exist in it, and to know the ones to embrace as a matter of supreme importance and urgency. If you can't do that, even with a PhD degree, you are not educated. You are academically qualified. You've passed the test of technicality, not of meaning. Now, I can break some things down for you. I don't think that Nigeria can become a thinking nation based on the construct that we have in Nigeria now. First of all, this language we are speaking is a problem to us becoming a thinking nation.
Oh, you think it's a barrier?
Oh, yes. Okay. It is a massive barrier. English language is a great language, but to accept it as our lingua franca needs a symposium discussion. And I'll tell you that, look.
Before you go far, Nigeria is a multi-ethnic, multi-plural society.
Yes.
English is the unifying language.
Yeah.
So we assume. And I can tell you that in my world, assumption is the lowest level of knowledge. It's doing is guessing. Okay. We have to stretch beyond the limits of assumption. We can't hope that we know. We need to know that we know. In science, nobody uses assumptions to drive reality. Assumptions are, test instruments.
That's correct.
Right? That can lead you to your conclusions. So when we make assumptions, we must be careful to ensure that assumptions don't govern behavior. How much more governing society? What has happened is you have a young man who sat for school SAS, and this is a very sad true life story, who sat for the WAEC exams. He could not pass English language. He didn't pass English language, but he passed some 2-3 other subjects. Bottom line, he didn't have 5 credits, and so he couldn't go to the university. Brilliant boy. I met him 5 years later when his uncle came from the UK and was staying with me, and he came to see his uncle to raise money to buy a new engine for his car, for his cab. So I said, you can't be driving the cab. You are brilliant, you are smart. You should be in school. He said, no, I couldn't go to school. What happened? Well, I studied at 5 credit. I couldn't pass English language. You couldn't pass English language? What subjects did you pass? Oh, I passed economics. I passed government. I passed commerce. But you didn't pass English language? Yes. What language did you use to write economics, government, and commerce? Is it the same English language? Yes. Oh, so you used English language to pass 3 other subjects, but the language that you used to pass those subjects, you could not pass that. That tells you something. It means that when the examiner is testing his paper, it's not testing the use of English. Because if he's testing the use of English, our boy can communicate enough to pass 3 other subjects. It means that no matter how well this guy can write or talk, if you cannot tell the difference between a pronoun or adjective, or between a clause or a phrase, he's not going to pass the exam. The next question is, what is the goal of lingua franca? Is it communication or sophistication? Because if it is communication, our boy can communicate well enough. All the people that fail English language can speak English. They can be understood. But the guy who is testing the paper has a marking scheme that is not testing communication, but testing the technicality of English, meaning that no matter how well you can speak, if you miss the technicalities, you're not going to pass. Meanwhile, in every country that has embraced lingua franca, the goal should be communication. So if I tell you, go to Lagos, you understand what I mean? Lingua franca has worked. If I say, I'm coming from Lagos tomorrow and I'm seeing you tomorrow, you shouldn't laugh. You understand me. Big people all over the world, the best football coaches in the world, the best soccer coaches don't speak good grammar. They say things like, tomorrow we win, we play, Pogba score for me. That's how they score, that's how they talk. Westerhoff was one of the most successful Super Eagles coach. He did not speak one grammar well in all his 6 years in Nigeria.
I understand what you are saying.
So, yes, sir.
And I can, if I wish, I can academicize the subject or problematize it.
Yes.
But we won't have enough time because we're on television.
Great.
And we're time bound.
Great.
But I would like to ask you, are you recommending the use of indigenous languages? And how is that possible in a multi-ethnic, multi-plural society?
First of all, you must know, sir, that the poorest countries in the world all have lingua franca.
Yeah,
the
but
most
the
prosperous,
adopted lingua franca here is
it has to be checked, because if all doctors use stethoscope and you don't want to use stethoscope, you must be a quack.
Okay, then can you answer his question?
I'm going there. Okay. If the poorest countries in the world all have a lingua franca, 50 years is enough to ask ourselves if lingua franca is giving us the results that we want or not. The other thing you want to consider is that all the first world countries in the world, the most prosperous countries, don't have lingua francas, right? So the question for me is, how will this govern our own reality? What do we need to do? First of all, there are some assumptions I must make very quickly. It is not my fault as a Nigerian. I didn't choose English language. Some people chose it for me. I'm an Ijebu man. It's not my fault that I can speak Ijebu and I cannot speak English. So if you want to make lingua franca, the English language, the lingua franca of the nation, I should not suffer for it. It should not be a determinant of progress in my country without you giving me the equal opportunity to learn the language. I shouldn't qualify to learn it because I didn't choose it. So do we have English language centers in every local government in Nigeria free of charge? English language should not be part of our grading. It should be part of our study. It should be a compulsory subject in every school. Probably you must even speak it to get anything you want to get in the country, but you don't have to speak the best of it. Once you can speak enough to be understood, because the genius of a man does not lie in the container of his communication, but in the content of his thinking. And at every point in time, we must come down to that. If I meet a girl today and I say, I love you, I want to marry you, and then I go to pick her in church on Sunday, and her dad says, where are you guys going? I say, Daddy, we are going to church. Once I say, Daddy, we are going to church, that can be the end of the conversation. Now, that does not affect the quality of my thinking, except the father is also a church-speaking father, so that by sympathetic resonance, they can find comfort. But truth is, that I can say shush does not mean I'm not the best lover in town. It doesn't mean I cannot pace her, help her to grow, do big business with her, help her to see her future. So we have to come to a point where we should not allow a determinant of progress to be the faulty association of somebody's language, right? So we have to come to the place where English language has to be accessible to everybody. It's too late to remove English language as our lingua franca. It's too late. But we have to reduce its powers, such that even if I'm the best thinker and I cannot speak the best of it, I should have a track of success. I should not be judged for my inability to speak English language. It should be legislated and punished. If anybody is judged, just like you are judged, if you see anything against a woman in some countries in a negative way, or you use racial slurs or things like that, you are judged. We have to judge people. We have to bring our legislation to be sure that no Nigerian will be judged outside the quality of his thinking and the strength of his character. If the problem he has is English language, is he making sense? We should buy him. We've lost a lot of intelligence capital.
How much are you doing in terms of advocacy? Because Section 55 of the Nigerian Constitution, 1999 as amended, says only 4 languages are recognized.
Sadly so.
The English language, Hausa, Yoruba, and Igbo. So it's a constitutional matter. And those are the only languages you can use for official purposes. Because in Parliament, you can choose to speak Hausa, Igbo, or Yoruba.
You can choose
every other language.
You can choose to do so, but there's no empowerment for you to do so. If you speak in Yoruba, Igbo, anywhere, in the bank to get a job, nobody's going to remember that constitution. They're going to judge you down. They're going to pull you down. The constitution should actually mean...
Section 55 is in relation to parliamentary business.
Okay, so I'm saying that in America, if all you can speak is Spanish, right, and you cannot speak English, you will excel. Nothing will stop you, right? Because when they say they have a lingua franca, they empower the system to give you nutrients that you need to succeed once you embrace any one of those. So if we say we are Igbo, and with my Igbo language, or with my Hausa language, and with my Yoruba language, I am a lesser fabric if I master it and fail in English. Meaning that I am touched and sophisticated when I master English language. When I master my language, I'm ras, I'm judged, I'm looked down upon. And I cannot find the attention and the respect my individuality deserves.
People are not taught in Yoruba or English.
You have just raised a huge...
And that is the thing. So we have to get back there. We have to get to that place where to ask ourselves, who are we and how do we want to grow? We have embraced a country that is diversified. Some small thinkers say that we cannot work together as a nation because we are not originally a nation. But we can. The thing is...
No, they are not small thinkers.
That's what I think.
They are thought leaders.
Well, I don't think so. You know why I don't think so? Because when you judge a process based on your experience alone, and you have not tried to consider the other party, it is small thinking.
Do you even think that we can conquer tribalism? To even start with? Like, there's so much more to what you're saying than just this...
So much more.
Surface of English as a legal function. Because generally, I would think that if you're in school and you're studying English, you should know English.
And if you are studying English.
Yes, because why would you fail English if you studied it?
No.
That's my thinking.
Study has a goal.
I'm just talking about people that have gone through the university.
Mastery. Even if I go to
the point she's making. How do you teach physics in Yoruba, for example?
That is the thing.
How do you teach chemistry in Igbo language, for example? And how do you build a nation around this,
hear you. So let me answer that.
Linguistic conflict.
So first of all, we have to take responsibility. That is the failure of the history of academia in our country. It is the same thing everywhere, even in religion. You have a Yoruba Bible that is as old as Ajayi Crowther. The English Bible that they translated to Ajayi Crowther's Bible have gone through so many translations, from Amplified to New Living Translation and all of that. The thing is, look, we have to come to a place where to ask ourselves, who are we and how do we want to grow? Until we ask those kind of big questions, we continue to fool ourselves and pretend that we're on the right track. Because truly, somebody has to sit down. The guys who are language masters in our universities have to sit down. So in China, so they learn physics, chemistry, but see this, just watch this. Physics, chemistry, biology, and mathematics are the subjects of development. Those subjects make everything in the world. Every other subject is either trying to sell what they make, distribute it, or protect it, law, commerce, and all of that. But physics, chemistry, biology make everything. The most prosperous countries in the world learn physics, chemistry, biology, and maths in their language, right? The Chinese man in China will speak worse grammar than the Gari seller in Benin. But the Chinese man has made his own plane, his own cars, his own instruments without the privilege of English language. Well, English is not the kingdom of God. It's not the instrument of peace. We can rise above those kind of things. And
before we go,
awesome.
For the benefit of people who are watching us and listening to us, how do we learn to think?
First of all, reading is key. Reading is key. I challenge people everywhere to stretch their minds and not allow the oppression of known knowledge. There is a level your brain cannot stretch to if you govern your thinking by what comes at you. You have to stretch beyond what you are asked to do, which is programming for the mind. Most people have read so much. I've read professors who have read so many books, but all they've read are the things they read to qualify for something. On their own, to go up and pick a subject on climate change, pick a subject on sexual orientation, and just read for the benefit of it, not because you are trying to pass an exam or you are trying to get a qualification or you want to win a certification. So I challenge young people especially, go take the freedom of the mind. Enthusiasm is free, optimism is free, you don't pay a dime for it. Get out of your comfort zone, stretch, challenge your thinking beyond your climate, see what is going on in the world, use the internet for research. Keep challenging your mind. When you take data bigger than your experience into your mind, you are compelling your entire system to go higher. And that's so key. For me, every month I'm doing about 4 or 5 books already. Between January and now, I read over 20 books already. We just have to keep reading. Of course, there are a lot of other exercises that you have to do, but the basic thing is read and bring data and information beyond your own known experience into your life. That's going to help.
Well, thank you, Kunle. The only footnote I would like to add is that we didn't have enough time to deal with the curriculum. I asked you the question. I think that the curriculum is also very important.
The curriculum is very, very important, and it has its place. It's very, very important because
and the system of teaching in Nigeria is
also very, very important. And what is more important than the curriculum and the system of teaching is parenting.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, the system can fail, but the system will not love you more than you will love your children. So, the crisis of the family is the crisis of the nation.
Well, thank you very much, Kunle Sorinyo.
Thank you.
Great pleasure having you on the program. I like your enthusiasm about what you do.
Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.